during the Trump era, them putting judges and people who were in a position to make law into so many different positions. And it's like we sat back and waited. And then now we're dealing with, the Supreme Court. We're dealing with, a biased Supreme Court. We're dealing with people putting, we're dealing with states putting laws down that are just, it baffles my mind that some of the things that have gotten through have gotten through, even without a protest. It's just, it's bad enough they're in a position to legally do it, but then they're even getting through even further. And we've seen that situation even with that situation with the removing the voters' rights of ex-felons. You're now, you're doing the same thing. And it's ironic, the article that you sent, Maurice, I was reading up a little bit further beyond it, where they were saying, okay, well, whatever the law that was coming up was, he was saying, well, the Constitution specifically says that you're not allowed to vote unless you become to a certain level. And what they did back then is like, okay, you're going to allow them to vote. We're going to make sure that, they have debt. They can't vote until they have all of their debt removed.
Right.
But back then, the story that we did on air, Maurice, is they were saying, well, okay, well, the cost of the ankle bracelet to monitor, I think at that time it was about $500. And then it was like, maybe, and then you had to pay $5 a day, in order for them for the monitoring. Now, if you look at the numbers, it's like, it's $900, or more. It's between $5 and $40 a day for monitoring. And you're taking somebody who just got out of jail, who's trying to get on their feet, who's trying to find a way to make ends meet, whether it's supporting themselves or supporting themselves in whatever family they have. And you're going to give them debt that is not only going to strangle them, but you're also going to give them, you're going to disenfranchise them by making sure that they can't even vote on the things that may make their lives better. And it's horrendous. It's ridiculous that we allowed stuff like this to happen when you could have seen it coming way back when the first law came about making sure that they can't vote because they have financial debt that will almost never go away because somebody who's working can't afford $900, in a month.
Just quickly, because I want to just read a statement by the Chief Justice, because I thought this was important. Chief Justice Paul Newby, he said, courts are not intended to meddle in policy matters. The court today returned to its tradition of honoring the constitutional roles assigned to each branch. Doesn't that sound familiar? Sounds like the same thing that they said of these strict constructionalists that have been elected or been selected to be on the Supreme Court. So now we're going to go by the letter of the law, what the founding fathers' original intent was, which I don't even know if you could even have any idea what their original intent was.
Well, they didn't say, but remember, he said what they would believe was reasonable. So the idea of like, if we were to get into their heads, we don't have to guess what they would believe is reasonable. They wrote it down in granular detail. As Cynthia McKinney said, they were dumb enough to write it down. We need to be smart enough to read it.